This way for the happy ending.
While I was waiting for my turn to play Dead Island 2, I ended up watching someone else hammer some zombies with a baseball bat for a bit, which was lucky because it really let me appreciate just how over the top the gore is here. When I actually got to play it, I was concentrating so hard on dodging monsters and attacking back that I totally missed the finer details of the damage I was doing. This is a real red paint for blood style, old school zombie movie mess in the best way possible, full of big fleshy gouges, severed limbs spiralling out of shot and exposed jawbones swinging loosely from bony faces. It's all because of something called the Flesh System, which is short for Fully Locational Evisceration System for Humanoids. When I spoke to Dead Island 2's creative director James Worrall, he explained that this is designed to procedurally generate anatomical damage anywhere on a zombie, right down to layers of skin, fat, muscle and all the organs. It's hideous, but in a laugh out loud, did you see that kind of way. Dead Island 2 is going to get compared a lot to Dying Light 2 as another first-person zombie smasher, but even with all this blood and guts, it has a much lighter tone. There's a brighter colour palette and it has a much more chipper, quippy feel to its story and characters. It's an absolute theme park zombie apocalypse compared to Dying Light 2's broody hanging around on rooftops listening to screaming. Dead Island 2 is the kind of ride with warning signs that says the people at the front will get wet that only makes everyone crowd to the front more. And it's blood. The wet is blood, just in case this metaphor isn't clear. While the gore is great, it's the core combat loop that's the most satisfying thing here. The demo I played was having its first ever public outing, and the developers admitted the difficulty was too high for new players. They had expected it to last 20 minutes, and it was taking everyone more like 30 to 40. But, crucially, I didn't care. I got stuck slightly trying to survive a horde battle around the Santa Monica Ferris wheel, but while it took me about 4 goes to get through it, I never minded. The fighting isn't complicated, but the mix of timing swings and dodges, or moving around to clear space and pick out threats has a really easy to enjoy flow. In terms of zombies, there's a fairly familiar mix of grunts, heavies, splitters, explodey ones and so on, as well as elemental things like electric types. Battling them sets into a solid rhythm of making some space to see what's around you, picking a target and then nipping in and out to do some damage while dodging incoming attacks. There's a range of environmental things to look out for too, like live wires and gas canisters, which you can use to your advantage. And obviously there are a ton of weapons to play around with, everything from an offensively loud revolver hand cannon to things like flaming axes, katanas, claws and so on. Everyone's going to have their favourites, but I really like the solidity of the axe's heavy swing, which suited my fighting flow. There's more depth to Dead Island 2's combat here than I really got to appreciate as well, as aside from the various elemental mods that let you attach damage types like fire, electrical and acid to your weapons, there's a skill card system that lets you craft different character builds. For example, I could have swapped my dodge move for a block that would have let me tank my way through problems. Some cards have buffs and perks as well, so you could take damage to gain stamina, for example. Your abilities and approach are shaped by the hand of cards you equip then, and you can change it at any time. One of the more interesting changes for the series here is that this isn't a seamless open world LA anymore. The original Dead Islands were large open world games you could explore fairly freely. This time Dead Island 2 is a series of sort of bubbles that you can fast travel between, according to game director David Stenton. There's still an open world feel in these areas with side quests, backtracking and branches to explore, things like finding missing people, treasure hunts and so on. It just isn't one big seamless map this time. As for the story tying all this together, that's sort of being vaguely explained at the moment. The game starts with you trying to get the last flight out of LA but failing, leaving you following various different leads and escape attempts to try and get out. The player character is also infected but immune, and the mission I played focused on attempts to synthesize a cure from your blood. After 8 years and 3 studios, Dead Island 2 is pretty much what you get if you Google development hell. It's been fully restarted by the current developer Dambuster Studios, and it seems to be doing a great job. None of the people I spoke to would really talk about past versions of the game, but from what I've played, the work that's gone into this latest version seems to have paid off. My brief time smacking up dead on the beach felt like a stylish and surprisingly fun zombie apocalypse. One that's more a comedy adventure than the grim is man the real monster kind of stuff we've had recently, which after a real pandemic and just the general state of the world right now is probably what we need.